Hi everybody. In this video today we're going to be talking about standard form a little bit more, continue talking about that and also doing some graphing from standard form. So remember that we have standard form, which is ax plus by equals c, and we have slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And before we were converting over to y equals mx plus b and graphing from there, but actually graphing from ax plus by equals c is pretty easy and works a lot of times. So we're going to talk about how to graph that. Okay, when we do this, what we are actually going to be doing is finding x-intercepts and y-intercepts. And the y-intercept is not as easy as slope-intercept form because there's no b in here. But what we do is really a pretty easy process. That is, to find the x-intercept, we plug in a 0 for y. And to find the y-intercept, we plug in a 0 for x. So let's take this example and plug in a 0 for y. In other words, we're going to take 3x plus 5 times 0 and then equals 30. And I'm just going to simplify this expression. So this is 3x plus 0 equals 30. So I need to divide by 3, and that gives me x equals 10. What that means is I had plugged in a 0 for y, and I got a 10 for my x. So a coordinate, is xy. And so the coordinate here that I'm talking about is the coordinate 10 from this 10 and 0 from that 0 for the y. That is my x-intercept. Let's take a look at the y-intercept. Same thing, we are basically looking for an xy coordinate, but to do that we're going to plug in a 0 for x. So I'm going to take that same equation and I'm going to plug in a 0 for x. And that becomes 0 plus 5y is equal to 30. So if I divide by 5, I get y equals 6. So this xy expression coordinate is going to be 0 because that's what I plugged in for x, and y because, 6 because that's what y equals. And so that is my y-intercept. And so I went ahead and labeled, this is my x-intercept and this is my y-intercept. So that's how we find intercepts. We plug in a 0 for the opposite letter. All right, let's take a look at another example. This time it's going to have a graphing with it. I'm going to do the same process I did just a minute ago. To find the x-intercept, I'm going to plug in a 0 for y. So I'm going to have 2x minus 4 times 0 is equal to 12. So x-intercept, plug in 0 for y. So that is 2x minus 0. I don't need to write that 0, right? And so I can divide by 2, and I get x equals 6. So the coordinate I'm looking for, the xy coordinate, x is 6, y is 0. Find the y-intercept, plug in 0 for x. So 2 times 0 minus 4y is equal to 12. We know 2 times 0 is 0, so all I have is a negative 4y is equal to 12. I'm going to divide by negative 4, and that gives me y equals negative 3. So the xy coordinate that I'm looking for is x is 0, y is negative 3. So this, once again, this is my y-intercept. The other one is my x-intercept. All right, what I need to do now is I need to graph these 2 points. Okay, this one is at 6, 0. So I'm going to go over to my graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the point 6, 0. And then 0, negative 3. 1, 2, 3 is right here. That's the point 0, negative 3. And now I just need to grab a straight edge, and I'm going to connect my points with a straight edge. And so this is my line. I might want to make that a little bit straighter. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now it's going through the actual points a little bit better. It's hard sometimes with this computer tool. But notice that my line goes all the way. It's not just a short little stubby line. It goes all the way across. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page. All right, we're going to do a couple more examples just like we did a second ago. So to find the x-intercept, we do the opposite letter. In other words, we keep the x there because that's what we're looking for, but we plug in a 0 for the y. And that equals -10. So this is going to be 5x is equal to -10. Divide by 5, and I get x equals -2. So the coordinate, the xy coordinate that I'm looking for is -2, 0. The y-intercept, opposite letter. So this is y. I need to plug in a 0 for x. So 5 times 0 plus 2y is equal to -10. That's 0. Don't need to write that. So I can have 2y is -10. Divide by 2, and I get y is -5. So again, the xy coordinate that I'm looking for is 0 for the x and -5 for the y. Okay, now I need to graph those points. So 0, -5 is down here. That's the point 0, -5. And -2, 0 is over here. Here's my point -2, 0. The only thing I need to do now is connect them with a straight edge. So I'm going to get my straight edge, and I'm going to do my best to make a really good straight line, connect them, extend it all the way across the graph. So here's my line. Okay, one more example like this. So x-intercept, we plug in a 0 for the y. Why don't you try to pause the video and see if you can figure out the rest of this from here. Okay, so when you plugged in 0, you work it out. You get -2x, -12, divide by -2, that gives you a +6 in the x. So the xy coordinate is 6, 0. Okay, how do we do the y-intercept? Again, will you pause it here and see if you remember where to plug in and how to solve it? Okay, so you plug in a 0 for x, you work it out, 3y equals -12, divide by -3, so y does equal -4. Now we are ready to graph these points. So we're going to go to our graph. 0, -4 is here, and 6, 0 is here. And I'm going to get a straight edge, and I'm going to connect those points with a straight line. And again, I didn't just make a stubby little line and stop right there. I tried to go all the way across the graph. All right, that is how we graph by intercepts. When we get to class, I might teach you a slightly even shorter method, but this is what we do. We plug in a 0 and we work it out. There are two other kinds of lines, horizontal and vertical, and those sometimes throw people off. So I want to talk a little bit about those. One is there's this mnemonic, HOIVOX. Yeah, I don't love this mnemonic, but some people it works for, so I'm going to mention it. H stands for horizontal, O means 0, actually, slope is 0, and Y is the y-intercept. If it's a vertical line, it has undefined slope and it has an x-intercept. So if that mnemonic helps you, you can use that for sure. I don't really go by that a whole lot. What I do is it says y equals 4, so I come over here to y and I go to the 4 on my y, and that is the only information I have. And since that's the only information I have, that has to be a horizontal line. It has to go through that, and there's no slope, so it's just going to go straight across. So I'm going to get my straight edge, and I'm going to draw my line horizontally straight across like this. That's when it's y equals. So again, if you want to use this, that might help you. Y is slope of 0. It's a horizontal line. The other one we have over here, it says x is -3. That's all the information we have. So here's my x-axis. I'm going to go to 3 on my x-axis, and I have to draw a line. Well, where's my line going to go? It's going to go straight up and down. That's the only way that anything can touch that point, right? So my line is a vertical line this time, going straight up and down. So again, if this helps you, this is an x, this is an x. It means it's vertical, it has an undefined slope. Okay, we will continue work with graphing standard form when we get to class.